Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Ren. I got a video today from Analyze with Sayin Chan. Our Asian brothers are making more passport videos. I'm loving it. Passport Bros, why men are walking away from modern women. He's actually going over the same article I did with Fox News, but he speaks better and he's a lot more better with reading the article. So I'm going to go over this video and get his input from it too. Please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
Hey folks, this is Sayin Chan. Today's episode, we're going over the fact that passport bros, men going abroad to look for love overseas, has become mainstream, at least big enough to get into Fox News. It's an article. I pasted it into Microsoft Word so we won't have to go over all the ads.
He's a much better reader than I am, much better with grammar. I'm horrible, guys. I'm sorry about the last video of me reading the article. It was bad, but this guy will do a much better job.
So the title of the article is, What is a Passport Bro? Growing number of men are ditching American women to find love overseas. Relationship expert says that some men feel excessive feminism and a lack of loyalty are hindering their chances of finding a partner. A growing subset of men in the United States are turning away from American women and choosing to search for love abroad, not just the USA, other Western Anglo-English-speaking countries, large parts of Europe included, Australia as well.
She's right. Russia, fucking Australia, UK, a lot of these countries are looking to go elsewhere.
The viral movement, coined as Passport Bros on TikTok, refers to men seeking foreign women who they believe come from more conservative backgrounds and therefore place more emphasis on family and loyalty. While the loyalty part could be arguable, especially when it comes to the country of Colombia, the part about family is very evident. Whether that's a cultural thing or an economic thing, the point is, men who are going to Colombia, when they meet women that are in their 20s and 30s, even mid-30s and later, if these women are single and unmarried, chances are they will be living at home with their parents and under their care. I would even say that this is the majority of women. The family unit.
This is how my family operates. Like, none of my cousins leave the house. They don't get forced out of the house like at 18 or anything. They're actually forced to stay. Like my aunts do not want my cousins, and like my parents didn't want me to go to college and like not live with them. So it was a big deal. And all my family still lives like multi-generational now. You know, my family, my cousins live with my aunts, and then they have their own kids. And you know, and there's multiple aunts in a certain home, it's just how we build together. When someone makes food at home, they make it for everyone, and it feeds literally like 10, 12 people because everyone in the house, it contributes back and forth.
Unit, the multi-generational household, is very common and is the unit of organization for people. You do not have a culture where people move out as soon as they can, as soon as they get into college or right after.
Yeah, I wished when I finished, my dad, I wanted to like not go back and help out with the gas station. My dad was like, "No, I need your ass over here now." And it's hard to say no to your parents, especially when they have a business that's like that kind of requires you to help.
In many cases, these passport bros claim to seek out non-Western women out of frustration or wanting something new. They often blame feminism and impossible standards by U.S. women as the reason for them seeking out relationship overseas, dating coach Eddie Hernandez says.
Oh, see, it's much better when I'm listening to someone like reading it. I can actually see them actually trying to blame men now. When I was reading it, it was hard for me to comprehend. It didn't seem like they were trying to put much on men. They were just like stating facts to me. But now after hearing Chan read it to me, I was like, oh, I see. They're making air quotes saying that we're doing it for this particular reason, but they don't really want to push at it. I see what you guys were saying before. I saw a lot of comments down below saying it, and I was just like confused.
Right. While this is a nice way of describing it in politically correct terms, the way I describe it, and which I think is more representative of what's really going on with men, is that for the men who are making anywhere near average United States income, the women look at you and think you are poor. Yep. They do not want you, and they do not need you, because at your earnings and with how much things cost in the United States of America, your ability to immediately, impactfully, and measurably improve their financial lives is non-existent. You, unless you have a very good financial plan and are extremely disciplined, chances are, if you're like most average Americans, you'll be in debt, you'll be earning around $60K a year, you'll be living paycheck to paycheck and renting, and by associating and pairing up with you.
He ain't wrong, especially college kids. You're going to be in debt. Thankfully, I am debt-free. The only debt I have is like my credit cards, which I pay off every week. But, I paid off my car. I don't own a home. Well, I used to own a home. But nowadays I'm debt free. It feels nice, to pay off your car and pay off all these things.
the women do not get any sort of a boost in their financial standing, and their financial status, including debt load, does not get relieved whatsoever. So while I wouldn't say that the standards are impossible, what most US women are looking for are the men earning in the top 15% or up, $100,000 a year or more, just to start. Okay, these would be their okay backup plan. That would be a nice kind of guy. But they're really looking for guys earning $250,000 or millionaires or even billionaires. So most average guys are out. So can you
Saying Chan ain't wrong. Speaking facts. Goddamn.
blame these guys for looking for women whose financial expectations they can at least meet or meet easily? Relationship experts, coaches, and other experts who spoke with Fox News Digital said the term has gotten significantly more traction thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic and an abundant work-from-home culture. Remote workers, particularly men, are heading out of the United States to find romantic partners overseas. As of 2023, 12% of full-time employees work from home, while 28.2% of employees have adapted to a hybrid work model. These numbers are significantly higher for the tech field, with 85% of tech workers either fully remote or in a hybrid role. 48% are fully remote. According to Upwork, an estimated 32.6 million Americans will work remotely, which comprises approximately 22% of the workforce. After people were forced to work remotely, many companies realized that people's work was just as good or even better when they were out of the office. Some people also may be experiencing wanderlust due to being cooped up in their homes for so long, which may make the thought of romance abroad extra enticing. Susanna Weiss, a relationship coach and AASECT certified sex educator, said. Yeah. So if we have 32 million Americans working remotely, call it half of that, 15 million men that are working remote, we begin to understand that the lower bound of the passport bros movement is in the hundreds of thousands, if not lower single-digit millions of men that are going to be joining this movement over the coming years. And we're still early. The majority of these men haven't gotten a chance to go to places like Southeast Asia.
They have not tried yet. I mean, a lot of men are barely getting their passports. I see the messages down below. Congrats to all you guys getting your passports, and they have trips already booked, but they haven't gone and experienced it yet. I see a lot of men. Hey, some men are actually traveling right now. So one went to Bali for 3 weeks, commenting down below. So I'm glad you guys are traveling. I'm excited for you guys. Experience it.
Or Colombia, the Caribbean, to experience what the women are like, because the USA doesn't have a very big culture of international travel, especially long-term international travel, the way the Europeans and the Australians and the Japanese do. But as the passport movement continues to grow and the men that are experiencing what the women abroad are like just come back with raving reviews and make massive pivots in their own personal lives to live either full-time or part-time out of the country, to go form families there, to go get married there and date only exclusively there, it's going to bring more and more people onto the bandwagon. So we're looking at minimum a lower bound of hundreds of thousands, but more probably like single-digit millions.
I think damn, those numbers are pretty high. I don't know. I'll agree with it. I can see it hitting the low millions probably by the end of next year. So we're heading towards there. I can agree with that.
Call it 5 million men in just the United States alone that will be joining this movement in the coming years. However, experts suggest that many other factors have contributed to remote workers, particularly men, turning outside their own country in search of romantic relationships. Dr. James Bram, an education expert and researcher analyzing conceptual foundations of biology, said that many of the reasons behind the trend are varied. Still, many of those individuals believe that Western women have adopted attitudes and behaviors that don't align with their values and preferences. Yeah, Western men are walking away from Western women by the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions. Many passport bros express a sense of disconnection from the dating culture in their home country, which they perceive as being influenced by elements they find unappealing, such as excessive feminism, materialism, and a perceived lack of commitment and loyalty in relationships, he said. I don't blame this guy. He has a job. He has to be politically correct, but I think he left out one major...
See, I still like that, even though they're kind of not blaming everything on certain things and are like harshly, pointing out the problem, it's still being spoke about. It's not putting us in a horrible light like a lot of older articles were. This is why I was saying it wasn't as bad. I don't mind them just kind of not like just pussyfooting around the question a little bit. It's okay because it's getting spoken about. The more it gets spoken about, the more people are going to realize they're just pussyfooting around the question.
Major thing in America that men are finding an excess of. Anyway, regarding the sense of disconnection that these men feel, a lot of the men, especially the average guys that I try to talk about, they can go to a place like Southeast Asia or a place like Colombia, and despite not speaking a word of Spanish and the women they meet not speaking a word of English, they sense in just 5 days there, more connection, genuine human person-to-person connection with this foreign woman than they have their entire lives dating Western women in the United States of America. These women are cold, they're not feminine, they're not warm, for the most part, and the foreign women in other countries are just so much more warm, friendly, down to earth, and don't have extremely high expectations for the men they come across. For a man to have a satisfying dating life in Colombia, he does not need to be 6 feet tall. I'm 5'6", and the thought that I was too short for beautiful women never even remotely crossed my mind in all the years.
I'm slightly taller. I'm 5'7". I don't have any issues here, at least not that I know of. I'm sure probably women have curbed me because of my height. But, he's right. In other countries, height is not that big of a deal because they know, yes, tell the truth, Asian people like height. Like, my brother is slightly taller than me, and my mom, brags about it. He says that he is much better looking than me and, a better, husband material because he's taller. Like, that's literally what she says, and I she says that in front of me too, and I'm just like, God rest her soul. Still love her though, but you notice like there's plenty of like decently height women with shorter men in Asian culture.
That I've been there. Same thing with my income. While dating in Colombia, my income was not extraordinary at all. I couldn't afford anything in the USA resembling luxury, but still, I took girls to dates, to cheap restaurants, to coffee, to ice cream. None of them ever complained, and so many of them were grateful for just the opportunity to go out with a nice man that treated them well, that could take them out of their houses so they can have some privacy and a fun night out on the town. They really did not care about what place I took them to or how much money I spent. It was the company and the connection that mattered more. Experts found that some men have shifted their romantic aspirations toward various international regions, particularly Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America, hoping to find someone with more conservative or traditional values. In addition to just the romantic aspirations, what comes along with better dating opportunities is a significantly lower cost of living. Mm-hmm. Men going to Colombia without trying very hard at all can expect easily a 75% reduction in their cost of living. Houses.
75%, guys. That's a lot of fucking money to save to live an even more extravagant life than you live now. Isn't that crazy?
Food, health insurance costs 75% off instantly. And if you wanted to really stretch it, you could get to 85 or 90% if you go to some more off the beaten path places or to rural or small town Colombia. The attraction of Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America as preferred destinations for passport bros seeking love and companionship lies in the perceptions and stereotypes associated with these regions. Southeast Asian countries are often seen as places where women are raised with a strong sense of respect and commitment to family, which is highly appealing to these men. Furthermore, these men also believe that Eastern Europe is regarded as a place where women embrace traditional gender roles. At the same time, Latin America is seen as a place where warmth, passion, and family values are prevalent, according to Abraham. Paula Pardell of Bloom Matchmaking added that these men often value women who are happy to be homemakers and mothers and take care of their needs, while the man is the sole supporter.
Happy to be homemakers and mothers. I don't even. It's so hard. It's so hard to find a woman in the West that just those two things right there. Happy to be a homemaker and a mother. Isn't that sad that we can't even get women here to be happy to be mothers? Like, fuck.
This sort of arrangement can be beneficial to both parties as long as both know what they are getting into. Open and honest communication is very important about needs and wants in the relationship, she added. But more standard motivations for dating overseas, shared by both men and women, have led more young male remote workers to consider romantic relationships outside of their area code. So yes, while dating abroad is fun, exciting, new, novel, and exotic for both men and the women, the reason why more men are doing it and less women are doing it, in my opinion, is because, at least for the long term, the men in most other countries do not come even close to meeting the financial expectations of most Western women. The men in the United States of America and England and Australia are amongst the highest earning in the entire world. I made a video about this, how Western women who travel to South America, backpackers, and are taking girls trip abroad are hooking up with guys, local guys, like crazy. But are they really settling down and marrying them or taking these guys back home to the United States of America? No, not really. They go on vacation, they hop on some D, have some fun, and then they go back home to go look for the top 10, top 15% guys in their home country. They won't consider these men for the long term because if the vast majority of men from the USA in their home country don't make enough to meet their expectations, then the Colombian guy making $300 a month certainly won't meet their long-term financial expectations. But
he is correct. And there's also the other aspects of things too, where it's not just that. It's the is that these men overseas aren't even looking for these women like that. They don't, like especially in like Southeast Asian countries, Latin American countries. Well, maybe Latin American countries because they want some green cards, but most of these men are not looking at these women as, long-term material types either.
Sure, for the short term where the finances don't matter at all and it's just about hooking up and fun, then yeah, it's not a problem. But for the guys thinking long term and building a life and a family, owning a home, it makes a lot more sense because they can easily provide for the women and have their wives stay at home to raise their kids if needed and not work, because a guy making remote income anywhere near the American average while living abroad could be in the top 1% of the country that he's choosing, if not the 1%, at the very minimum, the top 5% for most of the countries in these regions that we just talked about. Since the pandemic broke out, an increase of 50% in connections and conversations has been witnessed across geographical borders, according to OkCupid. Daters were also engaged in 10% more interracial relationships, and there was a 15% increase in those who said they would date different religions and cultures. In 2020, Tinder recorded a 7x increase in members' use of the passport feature, with 16% of all active members engaged with people overseas. Certified relationship expert, life coach, lifestyle blogger, and co-founder of Mood Fresher, Aditya Kashyap Mishra, told Fox News Digital that the allure of adventure is a significant factor driving the trend among American men. So while it may begin as the allure of adventure, once the passport bros touch down and experience what dating in those countries are like, the allure is gone. The allure just becomes reality. When the reality on the ground meets or even significantly exceeds their wildest expectations, you can expect what we're seeing with the passport men.
And it exceeds their wild expectations almost every goddamn time. There's so many men that just go for a week or two, a month, and they're just like, oh, where has this been in my life? Not in the West, that's all.
Abandoning dating and walking away from Western women altogether to go date and marry and form families and live abroad permanently. For those with remote work arrangements, the freedom to work from anywhere in the world presents an opportunity to explore new cultures, immerse themselves in different environments, and meet fascinating people. The desire for novel experiences and the thrill of embarking on a romantic journey in an unfamiliar land can be irresistible, he said. Mishra said that cultural curiosity, language barriers, and exoticism can also play a substantial role in pursuing relationships overseas. The language barrier can often be seen as an enigmatic challenge rather than an obstacle. Mishra added, American men may find the allure of learning a new language or communicating through a language barrier as an exciting and romantic endeavor.
Because men are romantic. Shocker. We are the romantic type because we do all the gestures. You know, women don't do these shits.
Yep. I made a video about this. Check it out. It's called English-Speaking Western Women versus No English Foreign Women. And on behalf of the passport bros and passport men, my response to those women that are trying to insult these men by saying that they can only get women that can't speak English, my response is, yes, that's the whole point. It's not an insult. It's the goal. The goal is to find women that are different from you. Relationship expert and No Matters founder Tiffany McGee, whose work is inspired by her journey as a digital nomad, said the yearning to date overseas stems from the psychological concept known as novelty-seeking behavior, where new experiences release dopamine in the brain.
Oh, so now we're just doing it for novelty, huh? Okay, now I see the shaming coming in and out.
Additionally, relative deprivation also plays a role wherein men may compare their relationship options back home unfavorably to what they perceive to be available in other countries. I don't know why they said it like that. What they perceive to be available in other countries.
So this is where the shaming comes in, but like that's subtle shade getting thrown.
For the guys that are able to travel internationally or live abroad, their options are their options. It's not about your perception. Either you have them or you don't, and those options translate into real outcomes, real women in their real lives. But criticism of the movement has been plentiful, and experts have warned that there could be negative ramifications for this modern trend. White said some of the motivations for passport bros stem from sexist ideas of American women being overly independent or having excessively high standards. For most of the guys that I try to talk to, the average guys, especially the older average guys, you guys have experienced what it's like in the modern dating marketplaces. The women that you want are generally in really scarce supply, and they also don't want you. You are too poor. At best, you may be their plan C or plan D guy by the time that these women are in their late 30s or early 40s, best case scenario. And my guys have told me, linked to the video with Cliff, he said that the women in the USA were just sanctimonious, where it's like you should be blessed or glad just to be in the presence of these women.
I never heard, I didn't know what sanctimonious really meant until he said it right now. And shit, that fucking hits the nail on the head right there. How these women feel.
Sorry, no. It doesn't work that way. Go where you're treated best. Go meet some Colombianas or some women in Southeast Asia where you are appreciated for taking women out on dates. And the women don't look at you as if they're doing you a favor for allowing you to take them out on a date. As women in the US become more outspoken and emboldened to ask for what they want, some men feel that they prefer women in other countries who will be more unconditionally devoted to them, she said. Lastly, the movement actually began with black men, so it could have to do with the way that black men are treated in the US, though it also seems that some of it is based on negative perceptions of US black women. Okay, so here's how I would have rewritten this paragraph. As women in the US have become more outspoken and emboldened to ask for what they want, more and more of them will be single, childless, and alone forever. 45% of them, to be exact, by the time 2030 rolls around, if the projections are to be believed. Their expectations are going up, their outspokenness is going up, and the men that are willing to deal with them is going down. Why? Because these men have other options. And in the case of the US black women, starting with Kevin Samuels when he was still alive, God bless you, God.
Rest in peace, Godfather.
Father, we love you. When he was still alive, a lot of the women didn't understand that there is an international competition for American men and also black American men that's going on. Foreign women are stealing their men by the hundreds of thousands. I haven't dealt with this group of women in a long time, but if there are negative perceptions of US black women, I would recommend that they campaign and compete to keep their men so that they will stop losing to the Philippines.
He just gave them some gems right there. Compete, women. Compete. Get better and compete against the foreign women if you truly want good men.
Filipinas, the Brazilians, the Dominicans, and the Colombianas. She stressed that it was important to note that some passport bros have been implicated in tourism and trafficking, underscoring the reality that not everyone under the moniker is simply moving to find relationships. I also find it interesting that this article
still get shamed at the end. Okay, I didn't go through the end of the article on my last video, so I'm glad I'm doing it with Sayan Chan here.
Neglects to mention that women also take part in this kind of special tourism. You can look that up on Wikipedia yourself if you're interested. Moving on, dating someone who has a different culture from yours come with a whole lot of challenges, such as adjusting to the traditions and learning their ways and how they navigate relationships. And this can be a bit much for people who are not psychologically and emotionally ready, she said. For men who fail to understand and adapt, these passport bros, Whiteside predicted, might be quickly dissatisfied once again and find themselves in another country back at square one. Yes, that is completely a concern, which is why on the Analyze with Sayan Chan channel, I do my very best to prepare men to live in the country of Colombia and in the process learn the language and adapt themselves culturally to the country.
Shout out to Sayan Chan doing God's work for men trying to go to Colombia and Latin American countries.
Bram noted that critics have argued that this trend may perpetuate unequal power dynamics and objectify women from other countries, potentially reducing them to stereotypes that do not accurately represent their diverse backgrounds in life. What does this word salad even mean? This criticism underscores the importance of approaching international dating with respect, sensitivity, and open-mindedness. Okay, I respect, am sensitive to the fact, and am open-minded to the fact that most average American women do not want average American men. Unequal power dynamics are being requested by the women. Check out the link in the description below. We have average college girls asking for men to earn ridiculous amounts of money, millions. The women all over the world are asking for unequal power dynamics and men that are earning significantly more than them, okay? How is this even still an argument in 2023? Good Lord, folks. That brings us to the end of this article. For those of you who have never traveled to Colombia before because of safety concerns, the entire Colombia safety course is now available on Subscribestar. Check it out in the link in the description below. If any of you folks need some help with planning your life or with organizing a trip, email sayanchan@protonmail.com to inquire about a session with Sayan Chan Life Coaching and Consulting.
Man, that was some good chow. Shout outs to our brother Sayan Chan, Asian brother helping out the manosphere, doing great work. Anybody that wants to go to Latin America, give him a message. We also never really spoke, the article didn't even speak about marriage laws. We always want to talk about marriage laws. Why? Because marriage laws are shit, at least to men. That's the major reason why men have not committed to marriage and have committed to move to other countries. I believe the MGTOW movement is actually bigger than the passport bro movement. So there's actually a bigger chunk of men that just aren't willing to date and marry women in the West because of just marriage laws in general. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.